Alright, picture this. An A-list superstar actress sister adds our boy to her shopping cart and literally buys him. Then she drags him off for a quick marriage certificate. Living together left him completely terrified because only Ellen knew the dark truths. This gorgeous sister, looking as pure and flawless as a top model on the outside, was actually a totally crazy, obsessive Yandere behind closed doors because his parents treated him like pure trash since childhood. Our MC desperately craved real affection, so Saraphina plotted to make him fall so deeply in love with her that he literally could not survive without her, like a broken phone. Without a signal, but right when he fully fell for her, completely trapped, who would have ever guessed she would actually dump him over some ridiculous misunderstanding? Yet after Ellen walked away with a heart frozen solid, she regretted it instantly. She searched for him everywhere, going totally frantic, desperately looking for her lost obsession. Right at this moment, the shop doorbell jingled. A girl stumbled inside, looking completely out of her mind and totally lost. Saraphina threw her gaze across the room and locked straight onto Ellen. In a flash, real tears shimmered in her eyes. 2 whole years, she finally found her. Little Ellen again, but her sweet boy seemed completely different now, and he was actually drinking alcohol. She got instantly furious. Stepping right forward, she snatched his wine glass straight out of his hand with insane ninja speed. Ellen, do you have zero clue how fragile your health is? Drinking booze, are you trying to end it all? Her voice brimmed with pure panic and heavy heartache. Ellen felt the glass vanish from his grip. He slowly turned his head to look, and you guys, his heart hammered so hard he just froze completely. It was actually Saraphina. Seeing his trembling, wide-eyed gaze, Saraphina finally could not hold back her inner beast anymore. Her bright red lips closed in, fully planning to kiss him, but Ellen dodged with the insane agility of a cat, speaking ice cold. Miss Saraphina, please respect yourself. Hearing his cold words, Saraphina got so insanely mad she actually laughed out loud. Ellen, is there a single inch of you I have not touched or kissed? We have shared the exact same bed more times than I can count, and you tell me to respect myself. What is that supposed to mean? She dove in to forcefully kiss him. Again, this time Ellen was caught off guard and could not dodge it. Afterward, he gently pushed Saraphina away, his tone still as freezing cold as a block of ice. Saraphina, what exactly are you doing right now? You were the one who said you did not like me. You were the one who called me dirty that rainy night. You told me you did not want me anymore. Remember? His brutal words choked her so hard she was left completely speechless. It was true. She had said all of that. She was straight up the worst, most toxic scumbag ever to exist. Then she grabbed his hand tight, her stunning eyes completely filled with pure panic, her tone so desperate it was basically scraping the floor. Ellen, your sister knows she was so wrong. I beg you, please come back to me. I can even give you my literal life, okay? Crystal clear tears were already swirling in her eyes like a tragic drama, staring down at Saraphina acting this pathetic. Ellen just frowned, his chest feeling insanely heavy. He slowly pulled his hand away and gently shook his head. No, sorry, Saraphina, I do not love you anymore. Saraphina shook her head frantically. I don't believe it, she sobbed as 2 lines of heavy tears streamed down the corners of her eyes. Huge, heavy drops hit the floor. Ellen, your bar literally has the name Sarah in it. You still love me. Don't even try to fool me. Hearing that, our guy Ellen just sighed softly. He stuffed some tissues into her hands and his voice softened just a bit. Miss Saraphina, we are closing. Please leave. Late that night, every single customer. The place was gone. Only Saraphina remained, sprawled out right on the bar counter, stubborn as a cat, refusing to move. She had already fallen fast asleep. The snowy city night outside was brutally cold, even in her sleep. Saraphina's thin frame shivered. Ellen quietly came back downstairs to check on her. Seeing her freezing, a sudden flash of heartache definitely crossed his eyes. He just shook his head, went upstairs and grabbed a nice warm cotton quilt. He gently draped it over her, perfectly tucking the edges. So no cold air could get inside, he whispered softly to her, Saraphina. You came to provoke me again, but I am absolutely terrified of getting hurt. Shouldn't we just let each other go? Ellen just sat right there, foolishly guarding her the entire night, quietly recalling every single detail of his past with her, from their very first meeting to falling in love, right up to being totally abandoned. Let's rewind 3 years back, you and I time, to see how this started. Back then, Ellen was the son of Thorne, CEO of the Lin Group. On paper, he looked like a wealthy young master, but really he was abandoned by his mother, Sylvie, and totally ignored by his father, Thorne. He lived worse than a servant, eating cold leftovers every day. See back when Sylvie was pregnant, Thorne had a spicy little affair on the side. Sylvie didn't know though. Later on, she gave birth to his older sister, Lysander. 3 years after that, Ellen was born, but hey, dirty secrets always leak out eventually. When Ellen turned 4, Sylvie finally discovered that Thorne was secretly raising another family on the side, Vaspera and her son Caspian. Caspian was already 3 years old, so they obviously got divorced, but when Sylvie moved away to another country, she completely abandoned Ellen, just because he was a sickly kid and too much of a hassle to raise. She only took his sister Lysander away. After that, Vaspera schemed her way to the top. Under her toxic rule, Ellen lived in absolute nightmare, but somehow by drawing webtoons and hosting a late-night radio show, he barely made enough cash to survive. One day, while he was quietly drawing, the door was suddenly kicked open and some absolutely garbage insults drifted in. Caspian strutted inside like a total peacock, just tossing insults. Yo, bundled up tight again. Is the walking hospital bill sick today? Why don't you just hurry up and kick the bucket? Seeing Ellen drawing, he snatched the canvas right off the easel, held it up to his face, and sneered, "What kind of trash is this? Disgusting." And then he threw the artwork right on the floor and stomped all over it. Watching this happen, a dangerous light flashed in Ellen's eyes. Watch this. The pencil in his hand instantly shot straight toward Caspian's eyeball. It scared that bully so much his face went paper white, and Caspian broke into a massive cold sweat. Who gave him the audacity to speak in private? Meanwhile, the sharp pencil tip just kept inching closer to Caspian's terrified eyeball. Caspian gulped hard, his whole body trembling as he scrambled backward. Right then, the sound of the main villa doors opening echoed loudly. He knew his mom was finally back. He instantly started screaming, "Mom, this dying sick kid is trying to poke my eye out. Hurry, get in here." Vaspera heard the panic and hurriedly rushed straight into the room. Seeing her precious son held at pencil point by Ellen, she stepped forward, shoving him hard. Watch her shield Caspian behind her. Because Ellen was already incredibly sick, his balance was totally off, and he fell straight backward. His lower back slammed right into the hard corner of the bed. Ellen frowned from the sudden burst of intense pain. Cold sweat instantly soaked his white shirt. Caspian meanwhile hugged Vaspera, pretending to cry like a total victim. "I came to kindly visit my sick brother." But not only did he not appreciate it, he tried to stab my eye out with a pencil. Hearing this, Vaspera instantly shot Ellen a truly venomous glare. "You wild brat, how dare you bully my son? Watch me slap you into the afterlife, you sickly mess." Saying that, she raised her hand, ready to slap him right across the face. Ellen clutched his back, enduring the pain to stand up, expressionlessly raising that sharp pencil right next to his own cheek. Vaspera's palm smacked directly into the pencil, completely snapping off the lead tip. Fresh crimson blood started flowing instantly. Vaspera grabbed her pierced palm, her face contorting in pure agony as she shrieked like a banshee. Ellen swept a cold glance over Vaspera, his voice completely empty of any emotion. "I will count to 3. Roll out of this room. Otherwise, say goodbye to your precious son's eyes." "I do exactly what I say," but Vaspera just kept screaming like a total madwoman. Ellen just, "You wait until your father gets back tonight. We will see how he deals. With you, Caspian also spoke up anxiously. Mom, let us go to the hospital. First, do not let it get infected. Then those two scurried out of the room. Like scared rats, once they left, Alen immediately closed the heavy door, weakly leaning. His head against the bed frame, sweating profusely. Now let us check the Jang family villa. Mary Ellen, how old is he even? Saraphina looked at her old man, her face absolutely full of disbelief. Saraphina was the precious sole heiress of the capital's wealthy Jang family, and moreover, the reigning A-list queen of the entertainment circle. But despite all that fame, she suffered from severe psychological issues ever since childhood. It all started because when she was 6, Seraphina was playful and got suddenly swept away by the ocean waves. Her mother drowned while trying to save her life. Because of this tragedy, she could never forgive herself for causing her mother's death. After years of intense treatment, she had improved somewhat. But whenever she had an episode, she would lock herself in a dark, enclosed room, crying endlessly and even harming herself. Alistair sat on the sofa, casually reading a newspaper, not rushing or getting angry. He spoke slowly. Alen is already of legal age, plus you are only 3 years older than him. I heard that kid is not doing well in the Lin family at all. That old rascal Thorn is planning to sell him to our family. Saying this, a faint, mocking smile slowly appeared on Alistair's lips. Hearing this nonsense, Seraphina stood up from the sofa, her beautiful eyes full of pure sincerity. In my heart there is only Merold. I have not even had a single boyfriend, no way. Her entertainment career is just taking off right now. The industry is vicious. A sudden marriage would completely ruin everything she built. Plus, she planned to stay single forever. She even adopted little Marigold directly from an orphanage, a truly adorable 5-year-old girl. Meanwhile, Alistair just smiled faintly. He had it all figured out, a strictly hidden marriage. No public announcements, total secret. They would just have to slightly inconvenience Ellen for a bit. Besides, he was not the one making the final decision here. Her grandpa made the call. He ordered them to get the certificate tomorrow morning. Hearing about her grandfather, Seraphina went completely silent. She slowly lowered her gaze, her voice barely a whisper. Fine, she agreed. She would go marry Ellen. Because she blamed herself for her mother's death, she owed her grandparents everything. So whatever they asked of her, she would always agree without any hesitation. But then Seraphina rationalized it. She would just treat this fake marriage like raising a pitiful little puppy. As long as he did not starve, things would be perfectly fine, right? Meanwhile, our guy Ellen was frantically drawing his latest comic because classes at Capital University were starting soon. Right then, his deadbeat father Thorn burst into the room. Get out here for a second, I have something to discuss with you. Thorn barked from the hallway. Ellen just let out a yawn, standing up with an absolutely blank expression. Our boy did not even need to guess. His father was definitely here to punish him for hurting Vaspera earlier. But honestly, after years of taking endless beatings from this awful man, Ellen could not care less anymore. He slowly walked into the living room, but Thorn was actually smiling instead of scowling. He looked at him and said, Ellen, your dad has some news. Ellen stared closely at his father's weird expression. The longer he looked, the faker that creepy smile felt. He could not stand it anymore. He spoke completely cold. If you have something important to say, just say it straight. Drop the nice guy act. No need to fake it. Thorn choked on his own words, completely stunned for a second. He awkwardly coughed twice, dropping the friendly father act. Look, I found a wealthy marriage match for you. Hearing that insane news, Ellen raised his eyebrows. He was only 19 and his dad was setting up an arranged marriage. What an absolute joke. It definitely was not that simple. Ellen silently waited for the catch. It is the daughter of the Jang family, Saraphina. They are demanding you marry into their household. Thorn nervously rubbed his nose, clearly feeling extremely guilty about this. Ellen frowned hard. He vaguely remembered meeting that Seraphina girl a few times when they We're kids, connecting that with the Lin group going totally broke recently, he figured. The entire plot out instantly. You and I know how these corporate families operate, most. Likely, the wealthy Jiang family offered a massive investment to save them, and the condition was handing Ellen over. His own father was basically selling him off. Bitter smile tugged at the corner of Ellen's mouth, but his voice stayed totally calm. Fine. Thorne never expected him to agree so fast. Absolutely thrilled, he greedily rubbed his hands together. That is fantastic news. Then first thing tomorrow, Saraphina will come pick you up. You two will go straight to get the marriage certificate. Ellen casually gave a slight nod. Over these long years, although his father beat him, scolded him, and ignored him, he never actually let him. He owed them for his life, sure, but after this exact moment, they were completely even. Selling him off definitely brought in a massive payday, right? More than enough to pay them back from here on out. Zero connection between them, none whatsoever. He agreed to the arranged marriage entirely on this condition. Thorne was speechless for a second, but remembering his own company was barely hanging by a thread, and knowing how much Vaspera and Caspian completely despised our boy, he just gritted his teeth and coldly agreed. Deal. Starting tomorrow, they would have absolutely no relationship. They would even sign a contract totally severing all parent and child ties. He just turned around, walking right into his bedroom to pack up his suitcase. For this toxic house where he suffered for over 10 long years, he felt absolutely zero attachment. Bright and early the next morning, Saraphina rolled up to the gates of the Lin family estate. Our boy stood in a woolen trench coat, hiding his chin deep inside a thick scarf. Gripping his suitcase, he quietly walked right toward Saraphina. She spotted him immediately, carefully looking him up and down as he approached the car. Honestly, at first glance, he looked like a perfectly obedient, well-behaved kid. He seemed ridiculously easy to push around. Even if he got mad, it would just be like a little white bunny, posing absolutely zero threat. She smirked to herself, but wait, it was over 10 degrees Celsius out here. Why was he actually dressed like freezing late autumn? She found that pretty strange. He walked straight up to her ride, met her eyes, and softly called her sister. Now, Saraphina in reality was way more stunning than on television. Her whole vibe radiated that sheer noble elegance of a true wealthy heiress. Hearing his voice, Saraphina's heart actually gave a little tremble. She let out an awkward little cough, giving a soft hum in response. Just put the bags in the trunk. He loaded his stuff, popped the passenger door, and quietly sat down beside her. Seriously, such a squeaky clean little white bunny, a totally gorgeous smirk hooked the corner of Saraphina's lips. She slammed her foot on the gas, and the ride roared down the open street. Now, this insanely expensive sports car was a convertible. Freezing winds kept violently drilling into his bones through the gaps in his heavy clothes. Sister Sarah, could we maybe close the roof? I am pretty cold, too. Her ears, this sounded exactly like he was whining and purposely acting spoiled. She was seriously wondering, how is he so skilled at this? Could this guy be a manipulative little green tea boy? While caught up in overthinking, she totally forgot to actually close the stupid roof. Seeing her ignore him, our MC just assumed she wanted to enjoy the breeze and refused to close it. Plus, Saraphina clearly had zero obligation to accommodate him anyway, since he was already completely unloved by his own family. Basic warmth and care were basically luxury items. He had long ago stopped hoping for any of that. Soon enough, they arrived right at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. You and I both know what happens next. Marriage at the speed of light. Boom, a totally hidden marriage, staring blankly at his new little red book. An indescribable warm, fuzzy feeling wrapped tightly around his battered heart. Did this actually mean he finally had a real home? From the corner of her eye, Saraphina caught his serious expression. The corners of her lips unconsciously curled right up into a genuinely sweet smile, except she totally didn't even notice it herself. Saraphina drove him to the Jiang family mansion. As soon as they pulled up to the estate, he spotted a guy holding A massive, vibrant bouquet of bright red roses. Instantly, our boy thought of Saraphina's. He remembered her many rumored boyfriends in the press. Just another one, right? That little spark in Ellen's eyes from their new marriage certificate faded instantly. Completely gone now, Saraphina put the car in park and glanced his way. Her voice was soft, distant. Ellen, just wait in the passenger seat for a second. I need to see what he wants. A minute later, she returned, her stunning face showed a tiny trace of guilt. Ellen, I have an absolute emergency. Got to go, can you head inside all by yourself? Ellen forced a quiet smile, his voice incredibly soft. Sister Sarah, go right ahead. He already knew he wouldn't be a priority. To his new wife anyway, he sat in the car, quietly watching the mirror. As Seraphina and that guy holding the red roses got into his expensive car and drove away together, Ellen closed his eyes, taking a long, deep breath, stepping out of the car. He finally rang the Jang family's massive doorbell. He tilted his head back, breathing hard, desperately trying to calm the wild, anxious pounding in his chest. Stick with me here. He had absolutely no idea what waited inside. Would it be deliberate torment just like his parents? Click, the door swung open. A tiny girl, adorable as a little doll, dashed out and hugged his legs tight, looking up. She called out in the sweetest, softest little voice imaginable. Big brother, you smell so good. That precious, tiny voice instantly melted Ellen's entire guarded heart. He quickly dropped to a crouch right in front of her, all that crushing anxiety totally gone, replaced by the absolute warmest, most gentle smile possible. Little one, what is your name? How old are you, big brother? My name is Marigold. I am 5 years old, basically a grown-up. She wrapped her tiny arms around Ellen's neck, promising it in that sweet baby voice. Alice Dister, watching this incredibly wholesome moment from the doorway, just smiled knowingly. Ellen, come on inside. Do not just stand out there. Little Marigold waddled forward, pulling him straight into the living room. Ellen spotted a massive family portrait hanging there. A heavy trace of envy flashed deep in his eyes. Marigold noticed him staring sadly at the big photo. Let us take a new picture with big brother in it later, okay? Ellen's tired heart absolutely swelled at those precious words. He gently scooped the little girl up. Thank you, precious Marigold. Alice Dister, smiling warmly, pointed right toward the plush sofa. Ellen, take a seat first. Let us sit and chat. Where did Sarah run off to? Why is she not here? Ellen suddenly remembered that big bouquet of red roses. His eyes dimmed again. Sister Sarah, she seemed to have some sudden emergency. Alice Dister looked visibly annoyed, pulling out his phone to call her right then. It rang endlessly but zero answer. He had absolutely no choice but to just drop it. He put the phone down, finally noticing Ellen's really heavy outfit. Ellen, it is only September. Why dress like it is winter? Uncle, I have been a bit sickly since childhood. Ellen stopped right there, terrified Alice Dister would think he was too much of a heavy burden, panicking and adding, Uncle, I am honestly not hard to manage. I can take care of myself perfectly fine. I will not be a burden. Alice Dister just looked at Ellen's desperate, anxious face. A wave of bitter sadness washed right over the older man's heart. What burden? Absolute nonsense. We are family now, big brother. If you get sick, Marigold can take care of you. Ellen gently pinched her little cheek. Well then, when I get sick, I will just have to rely on my precious Marigold to take good care of me. Marigold pumped her tiny fists, her big eyes shining bright. I will. She promises to take good care of him. Alice Dister stands up and carries Marigold upstairs. A moment later, he comes right back down, staring at Ellen. Now get this, Sarah actually adopted little Marigold from an orphanage. She originally planned on staying single her whole life. That is exactly why she adopted. Plus, Sarah has literally never had a single boyfriend. He can guarantee that. But here is the catch. Sarah suffers from severe psychological trauma, so even though Ellen is younger, Alice Dister begs him to be incredibly patient with her. Hearing all this, our guy just falls completely silent. He honestly never expected Sarah to have such a heavy past. Ellen gives a serious nod. He promises. Alistair stands, patting Ellen's shoulder, looking extremely satisfied with him. He tells Ellen to go keep Marigold company. Our boy turns and heads straight upstairs, and just like that, he spends the entire day drawing with Marigold. By evening, his head starts hurting again. Watch closely now, he looks at the kid. He asks if she can find him a room, his head aching. Marigold leads him down the hall, but those big mischievous eyes are plotting something. She figures he and Mommy belong in the exact same room, so she pulls him a little further down, stopping right outside the very next door. Saraphina's room. It is pitch black. Ellen has no clue it is a girl's bedroom. Marigold drags him right to the bed, whispering in her sweet little voice, telling him to rest. Ellen just pinches the kid's little cheek. He tells her to be good. She promises not to run off. She leaves the room, happily thinking that her big brother will probably all right. Our boy was becoming a dad soon. His head pounded fiercely, without even removing his clothes. He collapsed onto the bed, passing out instantly. Fast forward to 9 p.m. Saraphina stumbled inside, completely reeking of booze. Heavy, wet tear tracks stained her gorgeous face. Missing her mother, she hit the bar and drowned herself. All evening long, she rushed straight upstairs, slammed her bedroom door and locked it tight. The room was swallowed by absolute darkness. Saraphina didn't even bother flicking on the light either. Instead, she just slumped right down into the corner by the nightstand. Sobbing softly, her head pounded with pure agony, she kept hitting her temples. She pounded her slender wrists, making heavy thumping sounds, but it was completely useless. She then started aggressively, digging her fingertips right into her own wrists. Red blood dripped down her shaking fingers into her palms. Across the bed, he suddenly woke up from the noise. He groggily opened his eyes, his head feeling like it was splitting wide open. He glanced toward the sound, guided by faint moonlight filtering through the heavy curtains. That is when he saw Saraphina, tightly curled up in the corner, sobbing and actively harming herself, fighting through the absolute tearing pain in his head and back. He lunged forward, firmly grabbing Saraphina's slender wrists to stop the bleeding. His voice came out incredibly hoarse and strained. "Sarah, please stop." Startled by the sudden voice, Saraphina flinched hard, catching the scattered moonlight. She glanced toward the bed and discovered he was right there. She finally found an outlet for all those intense emotions. Crawling right onto the bed, she pinned him down completely, her soft body pressed tightly against his, leaving absolutely zero escape. Her eyes flashed with terrifying, absolute Yandere madness. "Our guy." She roughly tears his clothes open, biting right down onto his neck. "Anyway, Saraphina." She had absolutely zero logic left, biting him without a single ounce of mercy. Soon that sharp, metallic taste filled her mouth, and the scent of his blood. It only stimulated her. She bit down harder. Ellen was sick, completely drained of strength. He tried to resist, but Saraphina had his hands pinned down tight. She was forcing him down, her sharp fingernails digging mercilessly right into his palms. Fresh blood flowed out. Ellen just endured the sharp pain, his voice trembling. "Sister Sarah, please calm down." Maybe it was those exact words. Or maybe something else entirely, but Saraphina finally released her brutal bite. She collapsed into his arms, completely quiet, before breaking into fresh sobs. "Mommy. Sarah misses you so much." Outside, the night rain pounded the window like a heavy waterfall, a low, oppressive rhythm. We all feel his heartbreak here. He knew this was just her illness acting up. She missed her mom. But what about him? His own chest felt suffocated, his breathing turning heavy. He figured Saraphina's grief was just like his own, maybe even worse. Hearing those broken sobs right by his ear, Ellen felt genuine, deep heartache for her. Just how agonizing was it, enduring this horrible illness? For all these years, he wrapped his arms around her, gently patting her back, trying to comfort her with the softest voice. "Sister Sarah, it's okay. It's all in the past now, everything gets better." After soothing her for a good while, Saraphina's messy emotions finally began to stabilize. She laid perfectly still in his arms, her chest rising and falling softly, but her usually pale face was flushed deep red from the alcohol, her body pressed against his, making the atmosphere dangerously ambiguous and intoxicating. Her head was clearly spinning. Suddenly she leaned in and kissed him, hard and highly aggressive. The metallic scent of blood and heavy alcohol rushed straight into his mouth. Ellen's eyes flew wide open in absolute panic. She was a total expert, her tongue tangling deeply with his. Her breathing turned heavy, and her pupils practically shifted into literal anime hearts. She kissed him so fiercely he was basically suffocating right there. Ellen had to use every single ounce of strength to finally push her away. Rejected, Saraphina just swept a freezing cold glare right at him. Her voice absolute ice. Ellen, lying in my bed at midnight, isn't this exactly what you wanted? You're just a toy I bought. If I decide to kiss you or sleep with you, I will. Ellen, you really don't need to be so cheap trying to seduce me. We're already married. Even if you didn't throw yourself at me, I wouldn't treat you like trash. She completely and utterly ignored the fact that he had just gently and patiently comforted her for so long. She just had to spit out those venomous words, almost as if making him suffer with her would magically make her own pain disappear. Ellen's heart was totally pierced by her insults, aching terribly. It felt like a rusty knife twisting wildly in his chest. Man, you have to feel for him here, seeing his silence. Saraphina assumed her words hit the bullseye. She pulled a cruel, mocking smirk. 3 rules. First, no entering my bedroom without my explicit permission. Second, our marriage is strictly forbidden from being made public. Third, we absolutely do not interfere in each other's lives. To the outside world, we're just sister and brother. She looked down at him, his clothes a total mess. Her words stay ice cold. Can he do that? Let's find out. Only the faint sound of his breathing echoes. He closes his eyes, forces a painful, sad smile, and gives a faint nod, dragging his totally exhausted body and dizzy, aching head. Ellen walks toward the door. Sister Sarah, please remember to take your medicine. Before closing the door, he drops this final sentence. He really does not blame Saraphina. He knows she is just sick. And yeah, he actually did walk right into the wrong room. Plus, he promised Uncle Alistair that he would absolutely be super accommodating towards Saraphina. It is just that he cannot stop the sour ache deep in his heart. Just remember his place. Zero expectations means absolutely zero disappointment. Ellen wanders the dark hallway once, having completely no idea which room is actually supposed to be his. He has absolutely no choice but to find Marigold. Precious Marigold, could you take me to my room? He endures the splitting headache and forces a gentle smile. Big brother, what is wrong? You look super sick and there is blood. Marigold, who had been quietly drawing, sees him and is about to completely cry. Ellen rubs her little head and wipes away her tears. It is okay. Marigold, big brother just really needs to sleep right now. Can you take big brother there first? Marigold takes him to the room. Turns out it is the one directly next to Seraphina's bedroom. He does not even bother to clean the blood off his neck and lips. His head is hurting way too fiercely. He burrows into the thick blankets and passes out completely. Marigold turns around and sprints back into Seraphina's room. She hugs Seraphina tight and starts crying. Does mommy not like big brother at all? He is bleeding and sick. I brought him to mommy's room. I thought mommy would really like him. Seraphina hugs Marigold close, wiping the warm tears from her little face. Marigold, did you just say you brought Ellen into my room? Big brother's head hurt and he said he wanted to sleep, so I brought big brother to your room. Seraphina instantly falls dead silent. So what exactly had she just done? Bit him, kissed him, said all those truly ego-crushing words, and slapped him with those bullying 3 rules. What did she treat him as? Just a literal toy for her manic episodes. Ellen was bullied so badly by her, yet he still remembered to gently remind her to take her medicine. Her heart feels sour and heavy. She runs to the room next door. Ellen's room light is completely off. The cold moonlight streams in, allowing her to clearly see his current state. seeing him looking so insanely uncomfortable. Those few spots of red are blood stains she left when she brutally forced a kiss on him. She sits right on the bed edge and touches his forehead with her palm. It is terrifyingly hot. He is running such a massive fever, yet she still bullied him like that. She gently shakes his feverish body. But Ellen is passed out deep and does not react at all. Her heart feels incredibly sour. It is like someone poured pure acid into it, even though he is just a pitiful puppy she bought. She really should not have hurt him like this. Little puppies totally need to be pampered. She places her gentle fingertips on his lips, wiping off the dried blood stains. I am so sorry. She quickly makes a call, calling over the Zhang family private doctor. Sarah, calling me over in such a wild rush. Did you have another episode? Dr. Callista, wearing a white coat and carrying a medical kit, walks right in. Saraphina points directly to Ellen on the bed. Stick with me here. Our MC is the patient today. Dr. Callista realizes it's a guy. Pure surprise crosses her face. She has never seen Sarah bring a guy home before, but seeing that heavy worry on Sarah's face, the doctor doesn't even bother asking who this mystery boy is. She pulls out her digital thermometer to check his temperature, 39.1 degrees Celsius. Dr. Callista's eyebrow twitches. That fever is dangerously high. Saraphina is totally startled seeing that exact number. The deep worry on her beautiful face just grows heavier. Dr. Callista digs out some fever-reducing medicine from her bag. Saraphina hurries over to prep a glass of warm water and an ice pack. Marigold leans against the bed, looking right at Ellen, full of worry, tears swirling in her tiny eyes. Mommy, is Big Brother feeling really sick? She looks up and asks Saraphina. Sarah literally doesn't know how to answer for a long moment. She lowers her head in total silence. Dr. Callista sits on the edge of the bed, grabs his arm and starts checking his pulse. Sarah, take off this boy's heavy coat. Put him under the covers to sweat it out so his fever breaks faster. Sarah hesitates. They have already kissed, right? So what is the big deal about taking off his clothes? She half hugs him, letting his head lean against her chest. This super intimate contact makes her instantly remember the feeling of kissing him earlier today, a sweet taste so good it was addictive. She removes his clothes, then reluctantly tucks him right back under the warm covers. Dr. Callista's phone rings. Packing up her medical bag, she turns to Saraphina. Sarah, there is a huge emergency at the hospital. This boy should be perfectly fine. After Ellen takes the medicine, Saraphina checks her phone. It is already close to 10 p.m. now. She gently picks up Marigold. Sweetie, it is very late. Time to go to sleep. She carefully washes her up and slowly coaxes her to sleep. Then she turns right back to Ellen's quiet room, sitting blankly by his bed. She stares at him with a complex look in her tired eyes. Her soft fingertips gently touch the corner of his eye. Ellen, if you act disobedient, I am going to bully you. Ellen, I am a sick and terribly bad person. Getting too close to me will just get you hurt. Then every single half hour she changes his icy pack and gently wipes his sweat. Only when his nasty fever finally breaks does she finally fall asleep. The next morning, watch this. Ellen shakes his heavy head hard, finally feeling just a bit more clear-headed. Marigold immediately charges in from the doorway, launching herself right into his open arms. Big Brother, are you feeling all better? Knowing that it was actually Saraphina who took care of him, more than half of the grievance in his heart simply vanishes. The phone he left on the nearby nightstand starts ringing wildly. Only then does our guy remember today is freshman reporting day at Capital University. He quickly gets dressed, heading straight to the bathroom to wash up. Marigold, Big Brother is going to school now. Be a super good girl at home. Also, in just a little bit, take this glass of warm water and put it on Mommy's nightstand. Marigold promises she will be super good at home. Ellen grabs his heavy suitcase and finally sets off. A little while later, Saraphina wakes up completely groggy. Her head is spinning and her dry mouth craves water. Right at that exact moment, Marigold happens to walk in, happily holding that exact glass of warm water. Mommy, Big Brother told me to bring this to you. This clever kid constantly thinks about putting in a really good word for Big Brother in front of Mommy just so he could become daddy sooner. Seraphina pauses mid-sip. She lowers her eyes, going completely silent. You see it, right? She chugs the whole glass down. She put it down, then pulled Marigold into a warm hug. Why didn't Big Brother bring this himself? The second she asked, reality hit her. It was her own 3 rules. Her big brother rushed off to school, so he asked Marigold to deliver it. Then Seraphina suddenly remembered. Today was actually freshman reporting day over at Capital Uni. As upperclassmen, they wouldn't report until tomorrow. Marigold pursed those little lips and whined, Mommy, next time can we ask Big Bro to take me to Capital University to play? Seraphina tilted her head. Thinking it over, she pinched Marigold's soft pink cheek. Mommy will take you to Capital Uni today. How does that sound? Marigold happily bounced right up and down on the bed. They were going to find Big Brother. This was Marigold wanting to find Ellen. Seraphina was just responsible for bringing the kid over. Yes, exactly, that's it, Seraphina thought silently. Now let's check on Ellen. Right on time, he just walked into his dorm room. He softly said hello. Hearing his voice, all 3 guys put down their phones and looked toward him. 3 voices simultaneously blurted out a string of absolute swear words in shock. An incredibly handsome guy marched right up, throwing an arm around Ellen. Bro, you smell amazing. Hearing this, Ellen instantly broke free from the weird dudes. Embrace, hello bros, my name is Ellen. That guy introduced himself with a wickedly charismatic smile. Yours truly is Jesper. He patted Ellen's shoulder. Again, bro, just making a joke. I'm totally straight, straighter than a ruler. Then the rest of the guys introduced themselves one by one. Right then, Jesper finally noticed Ellen's outfit. Laughing, he teased him. I say, Comrade Ellen, it must be like negative a bajillion degrees here in the capital, right? You're wearing way too little, don't freeze to death on us. Hearing this, Ellen explained somewhat helplessly, my body is a bit weak. I get sick easily. That's why I'm bundled up so tight. Jesper gave a light nod. He totally understood. Understanding was his supreme trait. After Ellen finished unpacking, he sat down at his desk and continued serializing his comic. He was so intensely absorbed in drawing that he didn't even notice the phone ringing in his coat pocket. At this very moment, Seraphina was back in her dorm, hugging her phone, repeatedly refreshing the WeChat friend interface. She had just gotten Ellen's WeChat from her dad and was waiting for him to accept her request. Juno was on her bed hugging little Marigold, looking down at Seraphina. She saw her staring at her phone like a statue, desperately waiting for her husband to return. Juno was Seraphina's roommate and also her part-time manager. Seraphina slowly looked up at her best friend with a totally pitiful puppy dog expression. Is Ellen mad at me? Does he not want to talk to me anymore? Hearing this, Juno delivered an absolute critical hit, based on how you described last night. The fact that he hasn't filed for divorce means he's already being way too nice. Seraphina literally hung her head. Defeat, fully experiencing what it meant to reap what you sow. No divorce. Little Marigold was absolutely not happy hearing the word divorce. She started fussing loudly in Juno's arms. No divorce, no divorce. Sister was just joking. Juno quickly coaxed the little treasure. Meanwhile, Seraphina just continued staring at her phone screen. With eager, longing eyes, Juno watched Seraphina acting like this, seriously wondering if Sarah's condition might actually hurt Ellen. Stick with me, will he really stay? Sarah, right then, a sudden notification chimed from her phone. She rushed to check it, her bright eyes instantly lighting up. She opened his social page, but found it completely blank, so she had no choice but to start typing like crazy, a dozen lines of pure, heartfelt apologies. She hovered over the send button but still felt it wasn't quite perfect. Finally, she settled on a classic "You there?" But then Juno's ghostly voice drifted from right behind her, opening with that total rookie mistake, move aside, let the master strategist help. After declaring that, Juno smirked, snatched the phone right up and took the Chair, her fingers started flying across the screen like a master pianist. Marigold misses you. I brought her to Capital Uni. Wanna grab lunch? Together, hitting send, Juno slammed the device proudly on the desk. Flashing a super confident, in the bag kind of smirk, she did a tactical lean back. Pointed at the screen and bragged, now that is professional, you just can't. Apologize through a screen, face to face is mandatory. Saraphina bit her lip and gave a slow nod. Then Juno pulled her close, asking in a quiet whisper, Sarah, do you actually like Ellen? She looked down. Completely torn, I don't know, but he won't like me, I'll only hurt him. Silence hung heavy in the room before she mumbled that sad realization. Meanwhile, you and I know Ellen was across town, just laying back and seeing her message. He hesitated, completely unsure how to even start his reply. But the chat kept showing she was typing. He waited there for 5 agonizing minutes, only to get a lunch invite. He stared at it, pausing for a second before finally typing his response. Didn't we agree not to bother each other? Saraphina heard the sharp ping and instantly grabbed her screen. Juno leaned right into Snoop too. She frowned hard, reading those words. Sarah's hopeful eyes instantly faded. Yep. He was definitely still mad. Maybe I should just drop it. She looked down, voice dropping to a total whisper. Juno stood there, completely lost for words. This was Sarah's drama, right? Not really her place to meddle too heavily. Still, she gently nudged her friend. You should definitely apologize first. Right? Sarah stayed absolutely quiet for a bit, then slowly nodded. Yeah. You're right, I owe him that much. Picking up her phone, she typed another text. I want to apologize face to face. I misunderstood you yesterday. Reading that message, Ellen didn't even hesitate. He simply fired back a brief okay. After all, she was the one paying his way. Who knows what her family spent? Paying off that massive debt wasn't gonna be easy. Later that evening, Saraphina brought little Marigold to the restaurant. Juno wanted to secretly check Ellen out, so she grabbed a solo table way in the back. Meanwhile, Marigold stared intensely at the front doors. Mommy, is Big Brother coming soon? Yes, he's coming. Sweetie, wanna check out the menu first? No way, I'm waiting to order when he gets here. The little girl kept staring eagerly at the entrance. A few minutes later, Ellen finally showed up, pushing the heavy glass doors open. Mommy, he's here. The absolute second our MC walked in, the little treasure spotted him. Ellen noticed them too, but before he could even take a step. Before we knew it, Marigold had already trotted over on wobbly legs. He crouched down just in time. She launched herself right into his arms. Did you wait long? He asked. The little girl replied in her sweet voice. Nope. Just a tiny bit. He smiled, scooped her up, and sat right across from Saraphina. Then he pulled off his scarf, tossing it on the empty chair beside him. Since Saraphina stayed totally silent, he just kept his head down, happily playing with Marigold. Finally, Saraphina picked up the menu and held it out. Ellen, see if there's anything you want. My treat, an apology. Honestly, he really didn't have much appetite, but he took it anyway, letting little Marigold do the ordering. After choosing, he slid the menu right back. Pure confusion flashed in Saraphina's eyes. You're not ordering. He shook his head, replying super casually. Not hungry. You still need to eat. Your health is bad. You can't skip meals. She waved the waiter over, quickly ordering a bunch of signature dishes, and just like that, heavy silence returned. He slowly turned his head, staring out the window. While he was spacing out, a quiet voice broke through. I misunderstood you yesterday. I'm so sorry. He looked back, smiled softly, and said, It's fine, I don't mind. Right then, Saraphina spotted the nasty wound on his neck. She reached out one finger to touch it. His first instinct was dodging, but he just wasn't fast enough. She used her soft finger to gently trace around the mark. I'm sorry, does it hurt? Saraphina was genuinely feeling a huge pang of heartache now. It doesn't hurt anymore. His tone stayed completely flat. She couldn't read a single emotion there. She nodded silently. That awkward, heavy atmosphere fell right back into place. Once the waiter brought out every dish, he just looked at the huge spread, grabbed his chopsticks, and immediately started feeding Little Marigold right in his lap. Seraphina also picked up a nice piece of dongpo pork. But the second it hit her tongue, she grimaced, seeing her completely put down. Her chopsticks after barely 2 bites, he asked if the flavor was off. It's a bit salty. Hearing that, he scooped some food into his own bowl and started eating. It actually was pretty salty, but hey, it cost good money. Honestly, it would be an absolute crime to waste it. She stared at him, eating like a king, and asked what he was doing. Hearing her, he swallowed his big bite of food and replied, "Yeah, it is salty." "Then why are you eating it?" She seriously didn't get it at all. "It's premium meat. Can't bear to toss it out." Hearing his blunt answer, she just lowered her eyes. She totally forgot that even though he looked like some spoiled young master, his actual daily life was an absolute struggle. Watching him eat this salty food so happily, her chest painfully tightened up. "Stop eating." She practically snatched the rice bowl straight out of his grip, but I didn't want to waste it. He stared down at his stolen food, his voice sounding surprisingly hurt and wronged. Why wouldn't she let him finish? This meal was bought with hard-earned cash. Be good, go share Marigold's plate. She can't finish it by herself. Hearing those soft words, his heart melted. He realized the last time someone said that to him, he was just 3 years old. Quietly, he started eating that delicious steamed crispy pork with Little Marigold, seeing him actually listen so obediently. A gorgeous, relieved smile curled on Seraphina's lips. Right then, she finally noticed his trench coat was looking pretty ragged. Mentally, she decided to buy him a brand new one. After eating, Little Marigold crashed hard. Seraphina gently scooped the kid right into her arms. She leaned close to Ellen and whispered, "Hey, tonight I will take you on a little stroll around Capital Uni. Let me show you around." Ellen smiled, nodding, tapping his phone, meaning he would message her on WeChat later. And then Seraphina carried the sleeping Marigold all the way back to her dorm. Ellen headed back to his own room, where he and his roommates dove into a massive, thorough spring cleaning. Afterward, Jesper pitched an idea. The 4 guys should play some video games. Bazar and Gideon were instantly on board, but this put Ellen in a seriously awkward spot. He had absolutely zero clue how to play, but with the 3 guys hyping it up, he downloaded the game anyway. A bit later, Jesper invited all 3 of them into the game lobby. He stared at the single empty slot in the room and asked, "Who wants to invite one more player? Then we will have a full 5-man squad." Ellen aimlessly scrolled through his friend list. A random high school classmate just happened to show online, so he clicked invite, but comically enough, the very second he tapped it, that guy vanished offline, and Seraphina just happened to log in right there, resulting in Ellen accidentally smashing the invite button for Seraphina. Meanwhile, on her end, Seraphina was actually just being asked to play by some pro gamer. She figured she had absolutely nothing better to do, but the exact moment she logged in, Ellen's invite flashed on screen. Without a single thought, she hit accept, completely ghosting that pro gamer. Back in the lobby, Jesper saw the squad was full. He was just about to ask who invited the random 5th player. Then he locked onto that 5th player's nickname. Wait a minute, why does this tag look so familiar? Jesper clicked right into that 5th player's profile. He immediately spotted the massive national server tag for Sun Shan flexing right there. Jesper absolutely screamed in pure shock. You and I know Seraphina joined a King of Glory Gaming broadcast before. Jesper just happened to watch that exact show and completely memorized this exact username. He doubted it at first, but seeing the stats, he was 100% certain. Hearing him scream, Gideon and Balthazar completely lost their minds too. They started rage typing in the game chat, begging to know if she was the real Seraphina. Suddenly, her crisp voice rang right through the speaker. "I am Seraphina. Ellen, are these wild guys your roommates?" The second her mic flipped on, the 3 fanboys practically exploded. That iconic voice was way too familiar. It really was her. Slowly, all 3 guys turned their heads. eyes glowing red, looking completely rabid, like they were ready to eat poor Ellen alive. Jesper looked absolutely mind-blown. Holy crap, Comrade Elliot, you have been hiding your true power level, while Ellen panicked, struggling to find any logical excuse. Saraphina's sweet voice broke through the speaker again. Little Ellen, turn on your mic. His head was completely spinning, didn't Saraphina strictly order him to keep their relationship totally hidden from the public? Then it clicked to the rest of the world. They were only supposed to be siblings, so he unmuted his mic, took a breath, and softly called out, "Sister." Hearing that clear, bright word from him, Seraphina's heart melted, feeling way sweeter than a whole bucket of honey. Juno, standing off to the side watching her sugary smile, silently roasted her in her mind. Look at her, zero resistance. The superstar even switched to this adorable cutesy voice. Yes, it is sister. After dominating a bit, Seraphina suddenly ambushed him. Little Ellen, read the line Yao just said in the games. Yao just happened to drop another line. Our main character naively mimicked it. Whose little dear is this? Mine. Seraphina had totally changed her tune. Meanwhile, Juno was roasting Seraphina hard in her head. Wait, didn't she say she had absolutely zero interest in guys? Since when was she such a massive flirt? Before, after gaming a bit, his phone got so hot he could barely hold it, plus totally dead battery. Everyone had no choice but to log off. But naturally, he couldn't escape the dorm's three-man interrogation squad. Jesper put on this harsh, judging look, slamming his mouse like some strict ancient judge slamming his gavel. What is your actual relationship with Senior Sarah? Spit it out. Cornered, he had no choice but to answer. She's my cousin. Jasper stared at him intensely, no blushing, no racing heartbeat. All right, looks like she really is his cousin. Seeing him act so completely chill, the guys had to believe it. A bit later, dizziness hit him hard. Feeling super foggy, he just lay down and fell fast asleep. In his sleep, that same dark nightmare returned. The painful memory where his mother, Sylvie, abandoned him. His breathing grew incredibly heavy. He suddenly snapped his eyes open. Right above him was a dull ceiling. Now watch this. Sitting up, he realized he was totally alone in the dorm. He collapsed weakly back down, staring blankly upward. Man, so boring, I might as well just die, he muttered. Then suddenly, a phone ring shattered those dark, terrifying thoughts. Sister, he answered, listening to his lonely voice on the line. Seraphina softly asked, Little Elian, are you feeling down? Come out and grab food with me. He agreed instantly. Then he wrapped his scarf tight, grabbed a trusty umbrella, and headed straight out. Outside, the whole world looked washed in a gloomy yellow filter. He followed his phone map, arrived downstairs, and just waited quietly in the cold. As Seraphina was heading out, she gave Juno strict orders. The kid is in your hands. Yeah, go on. Marold and I will order takeout. It's about to pour. Keep him inside. The second Seraphina stepped out of the building, she spotted him waiting. Seeing that dark, gloomy aura around him, she felt a massive pang of heartache. She walked over, getting incredibly close to him, so close their noses were almost touching. She asked super softly, Little Ellen, what's wrong? If you're sad, you can totally borrow my hug. He knew exactly what she was doing, teasing him to force a smile. He gently shook his head. Seraphina blinked. Looks like she needed to switch tactics. Little Ellen, are you seriously going to reject my hug or what? Hearing that, he finally agreed. After all, he basically belonged to her. She pulled him tight into her embrace, playfully blowing warm air right by his ear, determined to tease out a smile. Instantly, his heart started to race. In that exact moment, pure logic screamed at him to pull away from this gentle embrace, but nope, he stubbornly craved the comforting warmth of Seraphina's arms, so he dropped a massive question. Seraphina, do you like me? Listen closely. If she just said yes, he would have totally stayed by her side for the rest of his life, never ever betraying her. But sadly, all he got back was the freezing wind blowing past them. Seraphina was totally frozen, stiff by his question. See, she only treated him like a pet. She wanted him To be hers alone but couldn't commit, so she just stayed dead silent. But, all right, let's watch this unfold. He silently counted to 100 in his head. Maybe Saraphina was just hesitating right now. His counting grew slower and slower. When he hit one, nothing, just pure silence. He gently pulled himself out of Seraphina's embrace. Taking a deep breath, he forced a gentle smile. Thanks, sister, let's go eat. Seeing that calm, smiling look on his face, the warmth totally vanished from her arms. Honestly, it felt like a chunk of her own heart just went missing. It stung, making it weirdly hard for her to breathe. She just hummed quietly, then she held a new trench coat up to her chest. Little Ellen, I bought this for you, see, a huge brand name, but he just gently shook his head. I cannot accept it, way too expensive. Seraphina immediately protested. It is not expensive at all. He kept smiling. I seriously cannot take it, thanks for the thought, sister, but she totally insisted he take the coat while he stubbornly kept refusing. Eventually, Seraphina was completely out of options. She had to say, then could you just hold it for sister? It's heavy, and I'm tired of carrying it. Hearing that, he finally took the bag, figured he'd just return it when they split up later. Soon, he found a tiny little hole in the wall spot outside the campus to grab some dinner. Walking down the road, he stared up at the clouds where that setting sun peeked through. The sunset out by the sea must actually be even more gorgeous, right? So he asked her, sister, walk with me around Capital Uni for a while. Seraphina gave a soft nod, taking his hand gently. She felt it was super strange. I mean, think about it. She'd known him 2 days, yet they were already acting this intimate, and she actually enjoyed it. She turned to look at his side profile once again. The thing is, she always felt like he seemed so sad. Reaching out, she straightened his posture, her fair, delicate arms naturally wrapped right around his neck. Little Ilian, can I kiss you? He nodded quietly. Zero emotion was visible in his dark eyes. Seeing that, she just couldn't hold back anymore. Her soft lips gently captured his. She kissed him with total abandon, completely unwilling to pull away, but he was kissed until he literally ran short on breath. Plus, Seraphina was dressed way too thinly, so he gently pushed her back. A sparkling little thread connected between the two of them. He then unpacked that trench coat, draping it right over Seraphina and carefully buttoned it up for her. Sister, you're dressed too thinly. You'll get totally sick in this cold rain. I will pay you back for the coat. Seraphina felt her heart basically melting into a puddle, completely ignoring the freezing dents drizzle. She reached her arms right out and pulled him back into her warm embrace. Her lips softly murmured right next to his ear. Did sister ever say you had to pay me back? Little Ellen, do you seriously think sister can't afford to keep you? He gently shook his head and muttered, I'm a bit cold. Let's go back. Then the two of them walked back slowly, shoulder to shoulder. Seraphina noticed he was completely soaked and asked, come home and sleep tonight. Take a hot shower, otherwise you're definitely getting sick. He nodded. A little while later, Seraphina and our guy arrived home safely. He first carried Marigold straight back into her room, tucking her in. Then he finally went to his own room for a hot shower, silently praying to himself that he absolutely wouldn't catch a cold tomorrow. After washing up, he cleaned and dried both the old and new trench coats. He did give him fresh clothes. Our guy neatly folds them, carefully placing them in the closet. Then he fires up his computer, getting completely ready to start his radio broadcast. This broadcast is actually one of his main income streams. The content is essentially sleep aid stories. Meanwhile, over in the room next door, Seraphina just finished showering, but she lies in bed tossing and turning, completely unable to sleep. Her mind is totally obsessed with him, so she decides to hunt down her pitiful little puppy. With bare, clean little feet, she quietly sneaks over to the room next door. She pushes the door open. Gently, he is completely zoned in, intensely typing away at his computer. Totally oblivious that she even walked in, so she quietly tiptoes right up behind him. Her fair arms gently wrap around his shoulders from behind. She leans in real close too. See what he was writing. This absolutely terrified our guy, who was totally lost in his own world. He seriously thought a ghost was haunting him in the night. He whipped his head around and realized it was Saraphina. She was only wearing a dangerously short white silk nightgown, both of her beautifully fair. Delicate thighs were fully exposed, and right when she leaned in closer, he caught a sudden, dangerous glimpse of Seraphina's cleavage. Total panic mode. He immediately averted his gaze straight to the floor, seeing him acting so evasive. Saraphina. Let's jump back in. Seraphina giggled internally, wearing less meant she got to see. Little Ellen violently blushed. Feeling playful, she deliberately teased the flustered girl, pulling her around to face her directly. Pulling Ellen tightly against her chest, they dove into another round of deep, lingering, passionate kissing. A few moments later, poor Ellen was completely running out of breath again, forcing her to gently push away. Seraphina softly whispered, "Little Ellen, what am I writing? Just a bedtime story for my stream to help the fans fall asleep." Hearing our guy's answer, she just nodded. Honestly, she really had no idea he did this kind of work. Truth is, she didn't understand him at all, never even tried to, honestly. At this point in time, she basically saw him as an accessory. But watch this. Right after that, Seraphina completely casually slipped under his covers. She lay there, just staring at him working. "Little Ellen, can I sleep here with you?" she suddenly blurted out, a sentence that definitely sparked some wild imagination. Hearing this, our guy's typing fingers just completely froze. He lowered his eyes, totally silent for a moment. "Which kind of sleep do you mean?" But then he quickly added, "Doesn't matter, either is fine." He looked back at his screen and his fingers resumed typing. He really didn't want to cross that final line, mostly because Seraphina didn't actually like him. That kind of thing needs to be completely mutual. Deep down, he felt some serious resistance, but in the very next second, he remembered the harsh truth. He was bought. Refusing wasn't exactly an option here. Listening to his nervous, back-and-forth answers, a gorgeous little smirk hooked the corner of Seraphina's lips. Honestly, she just wanted to cuddle with him to sleep. Because she had massive insomnia, normally she had to pop heavy sleeping pills every single day just to pass out, so she figured he could help her sleep peacefully. And honestly, guys, that other kind of sleeping could definitely wait. She quickly clarified, "Just sleeping, nothing else. Two people are just much warmer." Hearing this, our boy nodded gently. A while later, his bedtime story was officially finished. He clicked to start the stream. Seraphina thoughtfully reached over and turned off the main lights. Only a dim, yellow bedside lamp remained. She quietly closed her eyes, listening closely to his story. The background track was the calming sound of night waves crashing against the rocks. Then his gentle, slightly melancholic voice drifted out, quietly telling the tale. Just a short while later, the number of viewers slowly climbed to over 300. Stick with me here, because everyone was actively greeting him in the chat. A hardcore fan named Renea dropped a message in the public chat, "Ellen, could you sing a song tonight? It is my birthday." Then gorgeous special effects suddenly flashed across the screen. Renea had just sent a massive virtual yacht. He smiled. "No need for such expensive gifts. I will sing a happy birthday song for Renea. Renea, I wish you happiness every single day, and I wish all my viewers happiness every single day, too." In the background, Seraphina listened quietly, slowly opening her eyes. She gazed at him sitting by the computer. She was getting seriously jealous. She hated seeing him coax other women to sleep with such a gentle tone. He should only comfort her. But good times pass fast. The story he had prepared was finally over. He checked the time. It was already midnight. He gently clicked the end stream button. His broadcasts never featured a loud goodbye, because he feared his fans were already fast asleep. Saraphina, meanwhile, had actually been completely lulled into a groggy daze and was just about to fall asleep just as he was hesitating over whether to get under the covers. A pale arm yanked him right in. Suddenly, it felt like an octopus had wrapped itself entirely around his body. Saraphina's red lips pressed right up against his, too. She reached out and clicked off the nightlight. The dark bedroom was left with only a few faint streaks of cool moonlight. Her kiss deepened slowly, extremely carefully. Savoring the moment, she guided his hands right onto her soft waist. She was on the absolute verge of losing control, but she could not see that his wide eyes held zero trace of lust. Suddenly, her palms sliding across his bare back brushed against a massive groove, instantly snapping her awake. We are about to uncover a long, deep, absolutely terrifying scar. Her heart ached so badly that the passion was quickly extinguished by pure pain. How much did a huge scar like this hurt? And his body was already incredibly weak. Ellen, how did you get hurt? Her voice trembled completely. He just stayed silent. Only the sound of their heavy breathing remained in that quiet room. Nothing, I do not want to remember. Sorry, but she remained absolutely relentless. Your big sister orders you to speak. She felt his heartbeat suddenly spike. She knew he was remembering. He hesitated, then spoke. Thorn slashed me with a broken beer bottle when he was drunk. Hearing him state something so heavy in such an indifferent tone, Saraphina's heart ached like it was being violently twisted. Her stomach actually cramped in waves. Her dad had mentioned that Ellen suffered horribly in the Lin family. She assumed that just meant he was not favored by Thorn. She never once imagined it was this level of abuse. She hugged him incredibly tightly. Her words were incredibly soft and warm. Ellen, I am right here. You will never suffer that kind of hurt ever again. Never again. Never again. But deep in his heart, Ellen thought, Saraphina, what exactly do you want from me? Since you do not like me, why do you always say things that make my heart flutter like this? Then, he slowly and gently hugged Saraphina back. Saraphina, lend me a hug for a bit. We will not do anything. Want something else? Just hug me. She answered. He pressed right against her collarbone, breathing softly, totally soaking up that intoxicating warmth. Honestly, he was probably the most hopeless person in the entire world right now. Saraphina gently patted his back, comforting him like a little kid. She completely expected tears, but none came. He was way stronger. Then he looked, and she finally realized something huge when he used her full name, Saraphina. That right there was the real Ellen. The rest was just pure camouflage for self-protection. Saraphina, I want to ask one more time. Do you like me? He silently counted to 100 again. For the second time ever, those 100 seconds felt incredibly short. The moment arrived. Way too fast, still no answer. Sister, I'm sleepy. Sleep, sleep, embracing each other tightly. A completely silent night. Ellen woke up first, gulping down some water. Warmth settled in his stomach. He checked his forehead. 37.1 degrees, not bad at all. Acceptable. The guy always had this unexplainable optimism. In the weirdest situations, he threw on his light grain trench coat. First, he peeked into Marigold's room. The little munchkin was still out cold, sleeping so peacefully. He headed downstairs to cook. He had secretly asked Marigold what Saraphina actually liked, so he whipped up a bowl of pumpkin dough drop soup, her absolute favorite. He didn't see Uncle Alistair anywhere. Was he really that busy, heading to the company this insanely early? Ellen checked the time, just 6 in the morning. He put the dough drop soup inside a thermos, letting Sister Sarah and Marigold sleep a bit longer. Pulling out his phone, he opened Tomato Music and played the song Big Sleep. Finding a little stool, he walked quietly outside the front door, sat down, and just listened. Almost forgot how to be in love, my squandered youth. Maybe it can still come back to life. An early autumn morning, the rain-washed streets out there looked totally desolate. Puddles of water formed these perfect little patches of reflections across the road like clear mirrors. A gentle breeze blew past. Water rippled, bending the outlines of all the surrounding buildings. Pedestrians out on the street carrying briefcases stepped along the wet pavement. Little kids skipped and jumped over those puddles. The air held this chill, carrying a freshness completely unique to after the rain. It painted a picture of absolute tranquility. It was the scent of romance, his absolute Favorite scent in the world. He honestly had no idea when he fell in love with. Romance fallen in love with the rain. A personality is always formed drop by. Drop throughout life. It is super hard to pinpoint an exact time frame or specific. Events. Now watch this. Upstairs, Saraphina slowly opened her eyes. She had slept very well, honestly, the best sleep she had in over a decade, but her empty arms made her heart feel a little empty, too. Where was her pitiful little puppy? She missed him so much. Barefoot, she went searching for him. Turns out he was at the door. She spotted him resting his chin on his hands, sitting quietly on a small stool, gazing off into the distance. Who knows what he was looking at? Dressed so thinly, sitting outside. Does he not know he is cold? What if he gets sick again? So silly. Saraphina quickly went upstairs and grabbed his light blue trench coat. Then she went downstairs, right outside the villa door, yanked him straight back into the house and draped the coat over him. Her fair fingertips buttoned it up one by one. Her movements were just incredibly gentle. Our MC stood there completely blank, but those eyes, absolutely sparkling as he looked right at Saraphina. Silly Elliot, do you want to catch a cold? Sitting outside this early, wearing basically nothing, and in the freezing rain. You know your health is awful. She stared right into his eyes, pouting her cherry lips. He could clearly hear the gentle anger in her voice, scolding him for not taking better care of himself. I was wrong, sister. I will be careful next time. His voice held this unexplainable sweetness. His eyes curved up into crescents too, all because Saraphina worried about him. Ellen is so good, she gently rubbed his fluffy hair, so soft and bouncy. Seraphina's own hair was gorgeous, dark, silky smooth, draping right over her shoulders. The cool morning breeze blew her sweet scent right toward him. Sister, go eat. I will run upstairs and wake Marigold. You cooked. Real surprise flashed in her eyes. He nodded. He went upstairs and carried Marigold back down. Saraphina had already served up 3 little bowls of pumpkin dough drop soup. Sitting at the dining table, she slowly took a sip with her spoon. Her movements were so elegant. The pumpkin soup was perfectly sweet, salty, and savory. Those shredded pumpkins were incredibly soft and sticky. The dough drops perfectly chewy. It was her absolute favorite flavor. One bite and she knew he poured his heart into it. Ellen, how did you know? I love eating this. Her eyes held a curious look. Because I can read minds. His eyes curved into a cheeky smile. He rarely joked around. Mommy, big brother. Ask me what mommy likes to eat. Marigold tilted her tiny head and answered him. That pumpkin soup seemed to warm her right to the core. Her pitiful little puppy really put his whole heart into caring for her. This gesture pleased her far more than any fancy red roses. He had totally fallen in love with her. Right, she basically already won. Watch this transition. Attention everyone, stand at ease. Attention, military posture for 30 minutes. The drill instructor with a face made of solid iron stood with his hands behind his back, shouting commands with deadly seriousness. Today, Capital Uni was officially open. Students from all years had finally arrived. Freshman military training officially kicked off. Last night's rain was perfect timing, making today way less sweltering. Overall, the students were actually looking pretty energetic, of course, except for our guy. This chilly weather combined with wearing that super thin military uniform and absolutely not being allowed to wear his warm trench coat left him freezing. His pale lips started losing whatever color they had left. His weak body was visibly shivering from the freezing cold. Is he done for? Let's guess together. How many days will he be sick? 3 days, a whole week, hopefully no more than that. Mr. Sun, could you be just a little bit brighter? Do not hold back. Let your rays completely incinerate him. The heavens actually seemed to hear his desperate inner plea. A sudden glimmer of hope flashed in his eyes. Was a miracle about to happen? Whoosh, a gust of wind blew, shifting a white cloud across the sky, and it completely and perfectly covered the sun completely. The temperature instantly dropped another degree. Classic. Just destroy the world, please. Jesper stood on his left, eyeing him, secretly whispering To him, bro, how are you holding up? Dying. Truly a perfectly concise and vivid answer. I got a plan, brother, pray tell quickly. Just pretend to faint and go to the infirmary. It is way warmer. Brother, we have only been standing for less than 30 minutes. You and I know our instructor is definitely not buying this excuse. Worth a shot, right? But before our boy could even unleash his brilliant acting, the instructor's eagle eyes had already locked right onto the two of them. Whispering, the guy marched over, radiating pure authority, whispering, huh. The rest of the squad gets to rest. You too, 10 extra minutes of. Standing at attention, the other students instantly slumped, thrilled for a quick break. Everyone immediately turned to look at our duo. Several girls' eyes absolutely lit up when they saw Yor and Jesper, two ridiculously handsome guys right herein. The squad, one bright and energetic, the other soft and pretty, but especially Yor, the guy, was just too dashing. Many girls were completely losing it. Romance was basically hanging heavy in the air right now. Was this it, there? First college love story beginning. Meanwhile, Yor stood perfectly straight and respectfully. Reported, instructor sir, can my punishment be changed to running? He was freezing. The instructor finally took a real look at him. Yor was shivering so badly. His lips had turned completely pale. Fine, but you run 5 laps, think this through. But Yor was absolutely pumped. Forget 5 laps, 10 whole laps. Would be perfect right now. Running was infinitely warmer than freezing here. Yes, sir. His voice practically carried a hint of pure joy. Watching this, the surrounding girls immediately started whispering again. Such a gorgeous face. Too bad his actual brain isn't exactly sharp. Taking 5 laps over 10 minutes standing, he completely got scammed. And our handsome little brother is just standing there grinning like a total idiot. One girl sighed with heavy regret. No way, I actually really like little brothers with delightfully empty heads, so cute and easy to trick. Another girl's eyes practically glowed with hunger. Jesper also reported, what is your deal? The instructor glared straight at Jesper. Can you just transfer my punishment to him? Let him run 10 laps. Jesper just scratched his head, flashing a dazzling, shameless smile. Since you never gave a time limit, just let him slowly jog 10 full laps. He'll stay so much warmer. This guy definitely deserves a top 10 best bro award for this absolute betrayal. Our poor instructor's face was completely covered. Imaginary dark anime lines. Normal friends take a knife for their brothers, but you just stab your brother in the back. Both of you, give me 10 whole laps right now. Our duo started running the track, one absolutely beaming the other groaning in absolute misery. Then a girl reported, what is the matter with you? Now, instructor, I want to run too. Why? Do not tell me you are cold. That is literally impossible. I think this weather is perfect. The baffled instructor looked up at the sky, seriously doubting his own sanity. It wasn't even cloudy. I am running for the motherland's future. The girl looked fiercely righteous. The instructor just looked completely and totally confused. She laughed cheekily and simply scratched her head. Instructor, I totally have my eye on the cold guy. I really want to go run alongside him, get to know him. What does that have to do with the motherland's future? The instructor was completely baffled. She looked right at him with absolute, unshakable heroic conviction. Because, sir, children are the absolute future of our motherland. You do not even know him yet, and you are already naming your future kids. Denied. Get back and stand at attention. Fine, the bold girl dejectedly went back to practicing her posture. But watch closely at this very moment, Saraphina. All right, picture this. Saraphina and Juno are at this fancy fashion event, but honestly, the longer Juno watched Saraphina, the weirder things seemed, because our star had been frowning all morning. Only when those camera lenses aimed at her would she fake a perfect smile. Eventually, Juno just couldn't hold back anymore. She flat out asked Sarah, what's going on? You seriously look like something's bothering you. Seraphina was stressing because Elliot had military training today, and obviously he'd be freezing. That uniform was paper thin. She desperately wanted to bring him Clothes and hot milk tea, yet she still claimed they weren't dating, Juno swore. Saraphina's entire brain was just completely obsessed with him. Juno sighed helplessly. Look, we're stuck here. This fashion event is going to drag on until tonight. Relax, the guy isn't clueless. He won't literally freeze to death out there, but… Saraphina totally believed Elliot was that clueless. She was terrified. Meanwhile, at 8 p.m., the very last orange sunset faded away, the dim lights across the track. Field flickered to life, thanks to the absolute genius planning between Elliot and his 3 loyal roommates all day. He actually survived, but nightfall brought a brutal chill. Our boy Elliot was freezing like a lost penguin. Break time finally. The 4 roommates huddled together for warmth. Jesper was just staring, completely amazed. He couldn't believe someone could genuinely have such terrible health. Seriously, he joked. Comrade Elliot, are you some fragile historical beauty, reincarnated in the wrong body? Jesper rubbed his chin, studying Elliot like a total science experiment. Balthazar instantly chimed in. Oh, I think that's highly possible, you guys both share the surname Lin, and you're both incredibly pretty. Gideon patted Elliot's shoulder, speaking with absolute brotherly loyalty. If the instructor hadn't forbidden taking off these uniforms, I definitely would have given you mine. Just then, the instructor suddenly clapped his hands. Attention everyone, stand at attention. The entire squad scrambled to line up fast. Now watch this pivot. We only have 1 hour left. Let's skip training for today. How about some fun performances? The strict instructor finally relaxed the intense face he maintained all day, smiling at everyone. That sounds awesome, yes. The exhausted students naturally loved this idea. Everyone instantly raised their hands and cheered in total agreement. All right, sit in a circle. We're starting right now. Jesper, Gideon, and Balthazar squeezed Elliot right in the middle to keep him warmer. As your instructor, I'll set the example first. The man rubbed his hands together. The students immediately started cheering loudly, begging him to sing a song. Sing. Nah, I don't know how. I'll show you a special skill. The instructor casually dropped and busted out 21 one-finger push-ups. Holy crap, our instructor is an absolute beast. The guys were losing their minds. The girls' eyes sparkled with total admiration. Who's next? He stood up calmly, his face not even red, barely breathing hard. He looked around the circle. Jesper instantly dashed out into the middle. He coolly brushed his bangs back, flashing a wickedly charismatic smile. Time to unleash my charm. Yours truly is Jesper, and Jesper is absolutely perfect. I bring you all a track called Single Love Song, wishing everyone, and especially myself, an early escape from this single dog life, to find someone I deeply love who loves me back, so I can say goodbye to being single. Jesper sang passionately in the center, winking and making goofy faces at Elliot. This was exactly what the roommates planned earlier. When he finally finished, Elliot was, all right, you and I are watching pure comedy. Elliot had to yank 2 weeds, run up, and call Jesper handsome. Initially, Elliot completely refused, but Jesper claimed he would treat him to a massive hot pot feast as a bribe. Did Jesper really think he could just buy Elliot off? Absolutely. Elliot agreed without a single second of hesitation. Free hot pot is still free hot pot. He marched over and ripped up 2 foxtail weeds. Elliot shoved those plants right into Jesper's hands, but he just could not force himself to say, Jesper, you are so handsome. So he simply muttered, Jesper, you are as handsome as the grass at this school. Jesper paused, thinking about it. Hey, not bad, school grass. That basically means the campus heartthrob, right? The crowd cracked up. Hey, pretty boy, are you seriously trying to say Jesper looks like an actual weed? Jasper finally took a good, long look at the grass in his hands. Yep, total foxtail weed. He was absolutely done with Elliot. Could he be even slightly reliable for once? There were so many different grass types around, and Elliot just had to pick this exact one. Elliot swore that he genuinely, honestly, had zero clue it was a foxtail weed. He looked at Jesper, smiling awkwardly and scratching his head. Then he quietly asked, does the hot pot deal still count? This guy was still thinking about food. Jesper just aggressively shoved the microphone right into Elliot's hands, slapping on a horribly fake smile. He said with total, absolute kindness, Comrade Elliot, due to your perfectly outstanding completion of the task, your hot pot reward has been officially upgraded to a chicken burger. Okay, a burger isn't bad. Either definitely better than nothing. The crowd yelled, "Pretty boy, sing for us." Yeah. You are already up there. The crowd erupted, and those girls were cheering. The absolute loudest. Elliot muttered, "I am a little cold. Can I please not sing?" His hand was shaking so hard around the microphone. Someone yelled, "Come on. Once you start singing, you will not be cold anymore. Stick with me here." Seeing zero escape route, Elliot figured he might as well just do it. Better sing fast so he could hide in the crowd for some warmth. He sighed into the microphone. "I love the seaside, so I will sing Listen to the Sea. Write a letter and tell me today, what color is the sea that accompanies you every single night? How is its mood? Gray means it refuses to speak. Blue means it is melancholy." Elliot was an artist, so naturally his singing voice was actually top tier, completely on par with some professional singers out there. It was just that he was freezing. He was shivering so hard that his voice was seriously trembling, so it was not exactly mind-blowing, but it was still undeniably incredibly beautiful to hear. And while he was singing, Saraphina arrived. She brought a heavy trench coat and hot milk tea to save her pitiful little puppy. Everyone was quietly soaking in the song, completely lost in the ocean vibe. They totally missed Saraphina standing right behind them. However, from up on stage, Elliot spotted her. Once he saw Saraphina, he could not tear his eyes away. Why was sister here? She seemed to be holding his coat. Was she afraid he was cold? Did she actually bring him clothes? Elliot's freezing heart started to slowly melt again. The song ended. Thunderous applause and wild screams erupted from the massive crowd. "Little brother, you sing so well, pretty boy. Do you have a girlfriend? If not, you do now. Little brother is not cold. Sisters' arms are warm." You and I can see this escalating, with the girls getting more and more outrageous. Seraphina puckered her lips, starting to get unhappy. Seraphina's possessive side instantly flared up. Her helpless little puppy was just way too attractive. Naturally, everyone was completely eyeing him, so she slowly stepped into the center. She gently draped her coat over Ellen, buttoned it up, then popped a straw into the warm milk tea, making him hold it to heat his freezing hands. He just stared blankly at the incredibly gentle Seraphina standing right there, her eyes absolutely sparkling with brilliant starlight, so totally dazzling. That hot milk tea in his hands actually felt like it warmed his very soul. Seraphina was being so incredibly good to him. Again, so dangerous. He decided to be totally hopeless just one more time. It had already happened so many times before anyway. Now, the crowd totally assumed his girlfriend had arrived. They all started chanting for a kiss, but slowly they realized something was seriously off. Wait, why did this girlfriend look so incredibly familiar? Holy crap, it was Seraphina. Guys were begging to be pinched. Absolute madness, it really was her. The massive superstar herself, and she was actually dressing this lucky guy in public. Damn it, you and I could literally hear the sound of 1,000 hearts breaking out there. And of course, it wasn't just the fanboys who were devastated. The girls' hearts totally shattered. Two, they finally spotted a gorgeous younger guy, but he was already taken, and by the untouchable superstar Seraphina. Like, how could anyone even try to compete with that? All the drama-loving bystanders who lived for the gossip immediately whipped out their phones, snapping pictures and rapid-firing them online. Obviously, the internet completely lost its mind. Seraphina's social media trending topics exploded instantly. 1. Viral post screamed about massive gossip. Seraphina caught in an older woman. Younger man romance with a stunningly handsome university student. People were absolutely losing their minds. What did everyone think? Comments read, "Holy crap, the photo is so clear. Are you some kind of professional paparazzi?" The poster replied that Seraphina was literally less than 10 meters away from them right then. They joked they could shoot a clear picture using a landline phone. They clarified they weren't paparazzi. Saraphina and the guy weren't even trying to hide it. They were just openly flexing their romance right there on the Capitol Unitrack field. Fans swooned over how insanely good-looking the young guy was. Too handsome, too striking. Some girls joked they were practically licking their phone screens over such a gorgeous younger man. Others chimed in, saying they absolutely adored obedient younger guys the most, wanting to hug him. Others asked the original poster if the wild gossip was true. Were they really a couple? The poster confirmed it was 100% real and uploaded a video to prove it. The video showed Saraphina gently draping the coat over Ellen, carefully buttoning it and giving him the milk tea. Fanboys wailed about shattered hearts, crying that their goddess Sarah was actually taken for real. They whined that they had ignored all previous rumors because they only loved Saraphina, but seeing this raw video evidence placed right in front of their faces made their hearts hurt so intensely, they dramatically claimed they felt sick to their stomachs, literally crying on their knees. One guy begged the gods and pleaded with the heavens, crying he just wanted to love Sarah for another 500 years. Sobbing over his Sarah, he wondered how he'd ever survive without her. Someone told that crying fanboy to be less dramatic, pointing out that Ellen was quite handsome. He was a perfect match for Sarah, even if it was a bitter pill to swallow. In just 5 short minutes, this crazy romantic incident shot straight to the top of the trending searches. Meanwhile, back on the campus track field, our boy Ellen was already completely frozen in a daze. All he could do was stare blankly back at her. She gently rubbed his fluffy light-colored hair, so soft and bouncy. Silly Ellen, are you cold? She. All right, look at this. She spoke softly, his eyes completely glued to her. Cold. He blinked, looking totally adorable, before vigorously shaking his head no. My sister is here, so I'm not cold. His voice could basically melt right into water. His bright, glassy eyes just stared at Saraphina, absolutely shining. Hearing his answer, she smiled like a blooming flower, a smile that could literally topple a city. It was like she made the whole world lose its color, at least in his eyes. Everything except Saraphina was totally gray, only she was brilliantly glowing. Don't just hold the milk tea, drink it. She grabbed his hand and lifted it up, making him drink the tea to warm his body. He smiled so sweetly, nodding with total enthusiasm. Off stage, Jesper, Balthazar, and Gideon were totally frozen in shock. I mean, wouldn't you be? What kind of cousin acts like that? No matter how we look at it, this is crazy. Man, his cousin definitely doesn't treat him like that. Jesper was totally convinced. Just look at what a great sister she is. And then there was his own sister, only bullying and enslaving him. Comparing the two was just brutal. Jesper stood there, secretly and angrily roasting his own sister, but little did he know, Juno was quietly standing right behind the guys. A totally sinister voice drifted over from behind Jesper. So your sister doesn't treat you well, huh? Holy crap. Jesper jumped in pure terror. He spun around and realized it was his sister. He instantly switched to a flattering, boot-licking smile at the speed of light. How could that be, sis? You are my biological one and only sister. Let this lowly servant massage your shoulders. Please don't be mad. Juno enjoyed her brother's panicky service, smiling with deep satisfaction. Here for you. Juno handed the fruit tea over to her terrified brother. Jesper beamed with absolute joy, happily grabbing it. Thank you, oh great one. This lowly servant pays his respects. Meanwhile, the crowd watched the incredibly sweet interaction between Saraphina and him, and they finally just couldn't hold back anymore. They practically screamed, Saraphina, are you two boyfriend and girlfriend? Oh, how he wished she would just say yes, but he knew she wouldn't. Saraphina gently shook her head at the desperate crowd. This is my younger cousin. The starlight in his eyes dimmed just a fraction, but honestly, it was still brilliantly glowing. Even if she was just his sister figure, that was absolutely enough. She was already treating him incredibly well. He wasn't about to be greedy. The whole crowd fell dead silent for a few seconds. Stick with me, here comes the chaos. I'm alive. Again, please mute the world and listen to our heart's healing. The guys were officially back in action. Goddess Sarah was still single. The girls were also back in action. The super pretty little brother was still on the market. The gossip lovers rushed to Weibo to spread the glorious news online. It was the exact same original poster's post from earlier. Bros, sisters, huge plot twist. The pretty little brother is actually Saraphina's cousin, not her boyfriend. What do you say? What do you guys think? The comments exploded. Are you ever going to be accurate? Bro, is it actually real this time? 100%. Real? Okay, this time it came straight from Saraphina's own mouth. Good, good. Good, the anxiety ants crawling on me have suddenly vanished. Look at that insane visual level. Of course they are related. Would they both look this impossibly good if they weren't from the same family tree? Oh my god, sisters, this gorgeous little brother is single. I am getting so excited. 5 minutes. I want all the information on. All right, let's dive in. Boss, this lowly servant has a report. Rise, speak up. Quickly, she called the boy Silly, so we suspect his last name is Silly, first name Ellen. Are you kidding me? Do I look stupid to you? Investigate. Yes, boss, the lackey scrambles off, only to return sweating with another update. Talk. If this is more garbage, you're getting dragged out and destroyed. His name is Ellen, Capital Uni Art Department. Good, very good. Guess you're not totally useless. Get out. Meanwhile, that top Weibo trending search was instantly hijacked by a brand new hashtag. Saraphina glared at the girls. Off stage, they were staring at Ellen like absolute predators. It looked like they wanted to snatch him up and run. Saraphina's heart twisted, pure, bitter jealousy. They dare look at her. Ellen. In their dreams, he belongs to her. Only she gets to hold his hand. Only she gets to hug him. She grabbed him, spun around, sliced smoothly through that massive crowd, and dragged her sweet Ellen away. Ellen just let her pull him along, following obediently behind her. Just like a helpless little white bunny, Saraphina had literally just finished her massive fashion event and floored it straight to Capital Uni. Why? She missed her sweet Ellen. She was terrified her boy would freeze out here. Ellen let her hold his hand, quietly trailing behind. Like a perfectly tame little bunny, Saraphina was rocking this crystal blue evening gown, the neck and waistline, absolutely dripping with rows of flawless, sparkling crystal diamonds. Her perfect pale feet slipped into a pair of killer blue heels. A soft blue brooch rested on her chest, matching her absolutely flawless, stunning makeup. That gown showed off every curve, serious goddess-level beauty right here. She honestly didn't even look human, more like a literal immortal who just dropped straight from heaven. Ellen remembered an old poem. It could maybe describe about 80%. Saraphina's crazy beauty. Clouds remind me of her clothes, flowers of her face. Spring breezes sweep the railing, the dew is heavy, if not seen atop the Jade Mountains, we would surely meet under the moon at the Jasper Terrace. You've gotta wonder, was he even worthy? Maybe Ellen and Saraphina were simply never from the same world. It was just some crazy twist of fate that they happened to collide like this. He knew he shouldn't be greedy, just being able to walk beside her, just soaking up a tiny bit of her warmth, was totally enough. Suddenly, Saraphina turned to look at him. She caught him staring completely blankly at her. Totally lost in thought, Saraphina laughed to herself. Her sweet Ellen was staring at her so intensely he completely zoned out. He's totally falling for me, right? Are you freezing? She asked him softly. Not cold, Ellen smiled, shaking his head. Are you cold, sister? That dress looks really thin. He was actually a little worried about her. I'm not cold at all. I'm not acting all fragile like Ellen. Her eyes curved into a smile, teasing him. She was in a great mood. Ellen smiled back gently. A bright crescent moon hung high in the glazed night sky, cool white. Moonlight washed over Saraphina. Every single crystal diamond on her gown practically sparkled, looking absolutely dazzling and totally eye-catching. Did you go to an event? He asked gently. Yeah, Juno and I hit up this huge fashion brand event. They gave me this dress, she explained, squeezing his soft hand. But then, out of nowhere, she stopped dead in her tracks. She leaned in super close, her red lips parting slightly. So Ellen, what's prettier, the dress or sister? He gave his answer right away. He didn't hesitate for a single second, spoke directly from his heart. She expected him to say both, but she honestly loved this bold answer way. More, blooming into a huge smile, she reached out her arms and pulled him into a tight hug. Her lips leaned in close for another long, deep kiss. Her Ellen was still incredibly sweet. Ellen, do you like sister? She whispered her, lips brushing against his ear to ask that exact same question. He still didn't hesitate, but why? She blinked in surprise. Because sister is super warm. And I hate the cold. His eyes were totally full of pure, innocent adoration. She nodded, then sister will just hug Ellen a little longer. Thank you, sister. The two of them drove home together. This time, Saraphina didn't even bother going back to her own room. Nope, she marched straight into his bedroom. Back then, the house rules said he couldn't enter her room, but she never actually said she wasn't allowed in his room. Flawless logic. She quickly told him to go take a hot shower to avoid getting sick. Once he finished washing up, he put on soft pajamas, wrapped in a light green trench coat. Right now he was sitting at the desk drawing, while Seraphina was literally taking her shower in his bathroom. He could hear every single splash echoing from the room next door. His cheeks and neck turned burning red. Thankfully, a sudden phone call came in to distract him. Meanwhile, Seraphina only realized after washing up that she only brought clean underwear inside. She totally forgot a towel. She stood there debating. Should she ask him to bring a towel in? Or just use his towel to dry off? I will use his, she figured. He is way too shy to handle teasing. If I ask him to bring it, his face will absolutely turn beet red again. Honestly, she acted totally obsessed, burying her face in his towel and taking a deep breath. She wasn't disgusted by her cute little puppy at all. Her Ellen was perfectly clean and smelled amazing. His towel smelled amazing too. Now you and I see an unknown caller pop up on his screen. He was completely confused. Was this a spam call or some scammer? But to avoid missing something important, he gently tapped to answer. Hello, may I ask who this is? He politely asked the person on the other end. Only static came from the speaker. He glanced down at his screen, still connected, so he asked again, hello, are you actually there? Who is calling? Complete silence dragged on for another few seconds. Thinking it was just a dumb prank call, he prepared to hang up, but then quiet sobbing came from the phone. Listening closely, it sounded like a young girl crying. He felt even more confused. The choked sobbing lasted for over a full minute. Then, he heard the mysterious caller whisper through tears, Ellen, it is your sister, even though her cracking voice was completely broken. From crying, you and I know, he still instantly realized who it was. His entire body basically turned to solid stone. He froze in place, unable to move at all. Not even blinking once. One person crying, the other totally silent. Neither side hung up the call. Ellen, sister misses you so much. Hearing those whimpering cries and gentle words from the phone, his brain just couldn't process anything for a moment. His own eyes had already started glistening with tears. It had been 15 long years since she threw him away. Why did she even call him again? You and I know Ellen didn't blame Lander. Back then, Lander was a child. She had zero power, and when Ellen was little, Lander treated her very well. Ellen remembered everything. She just wasn't used to it. Lysander's phone call came too suddenly. It didn't give her a single second to prepare her defenses. Her mind was in total chaos. She had no idea what to do. I am sorry, you might have dialed the wrong number. Her voice was shaking so badly, she barely managed to finish the sentence. She immediately hung up the phone. She stood completely frozen, breathing heavily. Her vision went entirely gray. Her chest felt incredibly tight, so suffocating that even taking a breath was difficult at the same time. Inside a villa in Paris, a beautiful woman whose features slightly resembled Ellen's had just put her phone down. Her pale fingers traced over Ellen's information. Her fingertips gently caressed the photo of Ellen in the files. Landers beautiful. Eyes were stained with fresh tears. Her lips parted slightly as she murmured, Ellen, sister is coming back soon. Sister will never let Alelian suffer. Any grievances again, wait for sister. Meanwhile, Saraphina had just wrapped herself in a white bath towel and pushed open the bathroom door. She saw Ellen looking. Like her soul had left her body, Ellen tried placing the phone on the desk, but with a smack it dropped onto the floor, the screen completely shattered on impact. We both know Saraphina sharply sensed something was deeply wrong with Ellen. It seemed like one phone call had completely broken her. She ran over, quickly grabbing Ellen's shoulders with both hands, making her face forward. Ellen, what is wrong? Whose call was it? Did something happen? She asked anxiously, panicking because she had never seen Ellen like this. She had only ever seen the obedient, gentle Ellen. It's nothing, sister. Ellen's smile was incredibly forced. Anyone could easily tell that something was wrong. Plus, Saraphina noticed Ellen's eyes were red and heavy tears were swirling in them. Why was her silly Ellie crying? It hurt to watch. Saraphina's soft, pale fingertips reached out to touch the corner of Ellen's eye, gently wiping away her tears. Sister, can you lend me a hug for a bit? Saraphina heard her silly Ellie's soft, incredibly pitiful voice. Her heart was honestly about to completely melt. Forget lending a hug, she would give her anything. Sister will give you everything. She took Ellen's small hand, laid down on the bed, turned off the light and threw the covers over both of their heads. Ellen's vision instantly went dark, her trembling arms gently wrapped around Saraphina's delicate body. Ellen buried her face into Saraphina's delicate collarbone. Her whole body was entirely hidden under the covers. Saraphina had just finished showering. Her body was still entirely covered in the sweet milky scent of body wash. Wearing only a thin bath towel, Ellen could clearly feel Saraphina's soft curves and warm body temperature against her. However, Ellen didn't have any romantic or lustful thoughts. She just wanted to obediently hug Saraphina tightly, soaking up that warm sense of security. Saraphina's slender arms also gently wrapped around the trembling girl. Her soft hand gently patted Ellen's back, comforting her gently. Ellen, can you tell sister what happened? Her voice was incredibly warm and soft. Ellen gently shook her head under the covers. Saraphina felt Ellen's delicate chin rubbing against her collarbone. It felt like it was directly tickling her heart. What was wrong with her pitiful little puppy? So pitiful, it hurt so badly. Her pitiful little puppy seemed to be unhappy very often. In the time for half that time, Ellie had been completely gloomy. Pale moonlight quietly sneaked into the bedroom through a crack in the curtains. The cool air carried a hint of fresh rain. Patter, patter. The sky itself seemed completely miserable, almost crying in heavy self-pity. Massive raindrops slammed against the window with loud thumps. Suddenly, the dark room lit up as bright as noon. A few seconds later, the dull rumble of thunder rolled in. Saraphina felt Ellie burrow even deeper into her arms. She pulled up the heavy covers and burrowed inside. Underneath, relying on that faint light, the two of them stared at each other from up close. The hot air from his breath softly brushed against her face. Her delicate, soft hand gently pinched his soft little cheek. Her tone sounded exactly like coaxing a young child. Little Ellie, tell sister. Okay, fine. If you will not tell me, sister will kiss you. Seeing that he still just stared blankly at her, she simply decided to invade his mouth. Her slippery, sweet tongue skillfully pried right past his teeth, hooking his fragrant little tongue, sweet and perfectly thirst-quenching. Ellie really did not resist at all, letting her conquer and pillage him during the kiss. She thought he had absolutely no idea how hard she was holding back such a precious baby she could simply take from at will, sharing a bed and a warm blanket with her every single day. It honestly took massive willpower to resist eating him alive. 5 whole minutes of kissing, they finally pulled apart, both completely breathless. Ellen suddenly looked up, eyes filled with pure desperation. Sister, if I give myself entirely to you, promise me you will never leave. Saraphina was totally stunned for a moment by that question. Then a slight smirk appeared on her lips. She didn't answer the question. Instead, she just whispered softly, "Alelin, have you fallen in love with me?" She pressed Alelin's head against her chest, oh so gently, stroking that fluffy light hair. Suddenly, Alelin felt a sharp little headache kicking in. Was it from all those intense emotions, or maybe it was just because Alelin caught another cold? Sleep sounded amazing right now. Saraphina still had not answered that question. Maybe pushing it was a mistake. What if sister got annoyed? If he kept wondering, what if she got annoyed and didn't want him anymore? "Sister, I'm sleepy," his tiny voice mumbled, totally muffled beneath the heavy covers. "Just sleep," she whispered. "When you wake up tomorrow, all those annoying things vanish. Trust big sister." Accompanied by the crashing thunderstorm outside, he finally, very gently, drifted to sleep. A silent night. Next up, 7 days of military training. 3 straight days of pouring rain. By the third night of brutal military training, our boy just couldn't dodge it. He got totally drenched in the downpour and naturally fell insanely sick. His fever actually spiked to 42 degrees. Saraphina was absolutely terrified. Scared her precious Elian might get brain damage. Honestly, his little head wasn't exactly genius level to begin with, so, playing the role of his older cousin, Saraphina demanded a full 7-day medical leave for him. She locked him down at home to recover all week. His days stuck on an IV drip, just hanging out and keeping Marigold company, sketching comics and flipping through books. But at night, he kept Saraphina company, acting as her personal bed warmer. Meanwhile, Saraphina was incredibly swamped with work. By day, she was constantly out hitting different media events. Our boy would just sit eagerly at home, glued to the TV watching Sister Sarah. Honestly, Saraphina was insanely photogenic. Even a basic broadcast captured like 70% of her actual beauty. Whenever she appeared, fans went wild. You and I can see our MC's eyes were totally full of adoration. He had truly, deeply fallen for Saraphina, and as long as she did not abandon him, he would happily follow her anywhere. For his entire life, even if they never went public, even if he remained just a cousin forever, he was totally fine with it, provided she never got bored. And Lander never called again. Our guy seemingly forgot all about that messy incident. Basically, he stopped thinking about it. Today, finally fully recovered and feeling great, he returned to dorm 404. Hearing the door, Jesper turned around to look. "Holy crap, you made it. We seriously thought it was game over for you." Jesper jumped up right away, throwing a friendly arm around Lynn's shoulder. "Man, you still smell fantastic." Lynn smiled. "I am fine, completely fine." The grim Reaper did not want me. Lynn smiled. Gideon flashed a goofy grin. "Honestly, getting sick was not totally awful. At least you dodged that brutal freshman military training." "Exactly." Balthazar nodded along in agreement. Lynn just offered a gentle smile, keeping totally quiet. Then he noticed what his 3 roommates were actually up to. One held a guitar, another a bass, and the last gripped some drumsticks. "Wait, are you guys starting a band?" Lynn looked totally confused. "Bingo," Jesper snapped his fingers enthusiastically. "I am the lead singer and guitarist." Gideon waved his drumsticks, looking the part perfectly. "I am the drummer. We have practiced for days. We are going to completely shock the world tonight." "Sucks you were sick, Lynn. We definitely would have dragged you onto the stage. Is something big happening tonight?" Lynn was still clueless. Balthazar pushed up his glasses, grinning. "Tonight, Capital Uni is hosting a massive freshman welcome gala at the concert hall. The 3 of us teamed up and registered for a performance. If you had not caught a fever, Lynn, we absolutely would have pulled you in." Jesper smirked with a wicked gleam in his eye. "Comrade Lynn, that night during training, the insane chemistry between you and your cousin blew up the school forums. Everyone was talking about you too. You completely stole my spotlight. So tonight, I will shock the entire welcome gala. Shine like an absolute star, secure dating priority for the next 4 years and escape the single life forever." Lynn scratched his head awkwardly. Well, I hope you guys score girlfriends. I will cheer loudly from the audience. Oh hey, do you guys need me to do anything? Like bringing up some flowers? Or something? I am totally free. Whoa, hold on a second right there. Jesper frantically waved his hands, shaking his head. Bro, you are way too unreliable. Honestly, you and I both know the absolute mess he would probably make. Plus, it is honestly way better if you stay off stage. Your face is a literal national hazard. If you go up, every single pretty girl will just stare. They will completely ignore my handsome face. Lynn laughed, then I will just cheer. For you guys from the crowd, autumn evenings around here fade out incredibly fast. The setting sun sank westward. That glowing crimson disk slowly dropped until it vanished completely beneath the inky horizon. The evening breeze carried a sharp, chilly bite. Lynn walked solo across the dimly lit Capitol Unicampus. His chin was buried deep inside a khaki scarf, revealing only a pair of bright, lively, beautiful peach blossom eyes. Stick with me, he is heading for Capitol Uni's concert. The concert hall, the gala was starting. Our MC hadn't seen her sister Sarah all day long, and Saraphina skipped school entirely. She probably just went straight to work. Right, she almost sent her a WeChat message, but at the last second she stopped. She just missed her so much. Meanwhile, her 3 roommates definitely went to rehearse. They had been out carrying their instruments all day anyway. She hadn't seen them around. Sitting completely alone in that dark dorm room, she wiped her tears as she finished drawing the final chapter of her comic, ending the story that had been her life for a whole year, saying her final goodbyes to the main leads. No matter how heartbreaking or hard it was to let go, there was simply nothing she could do. Every story needs an ending, and even though almost every single fan in the comments was begging for a happy ending, she still closed it out with a tragedy. Honestly, you and I know this was her selfish choice because compared to happiness, pain always leaves a much deeper scar, and just like that, the characters from her comic would linger in the reader's minds for just a little bit longer, making it feel like the main characters were still alive somewhere in some hidden corner of the world, because the greatest tragedy of all is nothing but pure regret, just like Taki and Akari missing each other across those tracks in 5 centimeters per second. The real distance between those two had already started drifting apart on that snowy night, heading straight for the north and south poles at 5 centimeters per second through the long river of time, and regardless of whether the train was even there or whether they finally moved on or not, the regret was permanently set in stone, or rather, moving on somehow just makes it all feel even more heartbreaking. Love is just like that. Fate is naturally decided by heaven. If I cannot have you by my side, I only beg you to forget me. After uploading the last chapter, she wrote out a massive, deeply emotional monologue, spilling out her entire emotional journey from the past year, fully explaining why it had to end in tragedy, offering a totally sincere apology to the readers. But in the end, she just shook her head. She deleted everything, not leaving a single extra word. Ultimately, she left just one simple sentence: "Thank you for accompanying me all the way." Let's watch her slowly walk into the concert hall. Even though it hadn't started yet, the hype was already off the charts. Inside the dim venue, colorful xenon lights swung from the ceiling, occasionally sweeping right across her eyes. Students gathered in small groups, waving their glow sticks around, chatting and laughing, bustling, loud, and totally alive. It seriously felt just like a real concert. She lowered her eyes, randomly finding a dim corner back in one of the very last rows, and quietly sat down. She was surrounded by total strangers she didn't even know. She felt a bit uncomfortable, her social anxiety kicking in. She seemed completely out of place with all the surrounding noise. She pulled out her phone. The screen was totally shattered from dropping it the other day, but it still worked fine. She couldn't bear to replace it, because this old phone had been with her for a very long time. She was truly someone who cherished her old things. Looking at the completed button on her comic app, she just couldn't bring herself to actually click it. Once she clicked it, the story would truly be over. Maybe she should draw some. Fun spin-offs. Suddenly, the welcome gala officially began. The host stepped on stage. It was an incredibly stunning senior student, instantly pulling waves of wild cheers and howls from. The boys in the crowd go completely wild as Saraphina and Juno finally arrive. They push open the doors, slipping quietly into the massive concert hall. Saraphina has tonight's grand finale, but honestly, the only reason she showed up this early was because she missed her pitiful little puppy. She knew Elliot would come watch today. Earlier, she had to endure yet another exhausting media event, dealing with all those stuck-up social elites, and their fake smiles absolutely drained her energy. She was completely wiped out. Honestly, only her silly little Ellen made her feel totally comfortable. Around him, she didn't have to stress about a single thing. She could just be herself. Her little Ellen didn't have any of that fake, arrogant energy. Her guy was completely different. He only offered his pure, soft, and genuine kindness. Maybe it really was destiny. Inside a massive hall of thousands, she instantly spots her pitiful little puppy right off the bat. He looks totally miserable again, even with a massive crowd swarming all around him. He just seems so completely isolated, just hiding in the corner, but thankfully, there is still an empty seat right next to him. She just has to find her little Ellen. She shoots Juno these big pleading eyes, grabbing her friend's hand. Swinging it like a kid, Juno just flips her off, showing absolute zero respect. Saraphina, I see right through your act. Sisters before misters. Wait, no, scratch that. You're totally ditching me for a guy. Saraphina just keeps staring at Juno with that super pathetic puppy face. Sigh, fine, whatever. Juno waves her off in defeat. Hit by Saraphina's critical beauty attack, she instantly surrenders. Seriously. Who gave Saraphina the right to look this pretty and sad, even as a girl? She could not resist it. It turns out her little brother Jesper is also performing tonight. I'll go up front to cheer him on. You track down your little Elliot, but since you're ditching me, you owe me a massive hot pot dinner. Juno crosses her arms, tilts her head, and pouts her lips, just waiting on Seraphina's response. I love you the absolute most, Juno. She smiles like a literal flower. Forget one dinner, I'll buy you two. Seraphina walks over to Elliot, gently sitting down directly next to him. Her hand naturally reaches right out and grabs his. Feeling his hand suddenly trapped in that soft, warm grasp, his first instinct is to pull it away fast. He turns around in pure shock, realizing it's his beloved sister. Sarah, she isn't wearing a drop of makeup today, but those fair cheeks are so completely flawless he can't find a single imperfection. She looks incredibly noble, elegant, and soul-stirringly beautiful. Sister, he whispers out to her incredibly softly. How did you even know I was here? His eyes flash with brilliant, sparkling starlight. His gaze and heart are completely full of her, because Juno told me her brother was performing. You're Jesper's roommate, so I knew you would definitely come support him, she explains, her eyes curving into sweet crescents. He smiles and nods gently, his heart feeling so incredibly warm and fuzzy. Sister cared about him so much, since the venue is pitch dark and everyone's focus is glued to the stage. Nobody spots the two of them secretly holding hands in this tender, private moment. Thanks to Seraphina showing up, his awful mood lifts tremendously. Entirely unconsciously, this guy who is usually so freezing cold, who is basically never affected by anyone else, is now completely captivated by Seraphina's every single move. Now get this, back when Thorn beat him with a leather belt, his heart didn't feel a single subtle motion, even though his heart had been locked in ice forever. Seraphina just slipped her fingers through his. Her warm palms were even sweating a little. That heat, it transferred right into his frozen heart. He stared at her, and the pure obsession deep in his eyes was practically spilling over. If only he could just hold onto her hand like this forever. How amazing would that be? Noticing this, Seraphina stared right back at the overflowing love in his gaze, seeing little Elian's eyes. Completely consumed by her own reflection, her eyes curved with pure joy, her soft lips curled into a dangerously sweet smile. Her pathetic little puppy had completely fallen in love with her.